Hi, I'm Cec Busby. Welcome to First Act, the podcast series brought to you by Cec Business Builders, where we chat to inspiring innovators across the startup and small business ecosystem. If you're looking for small business inspiration, you can find us at www.cocesbusinessbuilders.com.au or join us on Facebook. Hi everybody. Today I'm chatting with Dean Foley. Dean is the founder of Barayamal, Australia's first indigenous accelerator program. He launched Barayamal in 2016 and since then he's helped indigenous entrepreneurs to facilitate their dreams. He's also one of the honorees on our inaugural Cec Business Builders Power List. Welcome, Dean.
So, Dean, if we could just go back to the beginning, you're a young Indigenous boy growing up in rural Australia. I don't imagine entrepreneurship was part of your realm or the first choice for you. So can we get a bit of insight into your first career?
Like in communities, most people are just getting by paycheck per paycheck. So, and just, working just to have a roof over the head. So, entrepreneurship and owning business was definitely not something that came up on conversations. It was all just about getting a job and, have enough money to pay the bills and then hopefully, buy a house, a Australian dream and that way, that stream. So, never thought about entrepreneurship. After finishing high school, I wasn't too sure what to do, but always wanted to serve in the defence force like my grandfather did. He fought in numerous locations in World War II from nearby in PNG to being one of the rats in Trebrook. So it was just inspirational, what he did and the other soldiers did, defend Australia and obviously human rights. And so I ended up applying for the Air Force and got in.
And how do you think that that early grounding in the Air Force has benefited you later? What were your takeaways, I guess?
There's heaps of takeaways. Like I'd, recommend anybody, especially young ones, to join defence if they don't know what they want to do, just to get out of their shell, see the world, get a bit more discipline. And then also, just find out what you don't like. So the Air Force was an invaluable experience, learn a lot, obviously discipline, and all that kind of stuff. But, during that time, a friend in the Air Force dropped a book on my desk about entrepreneurship, and I read that, and that was kind of a light bulb moment. And that's when I knew, even though I was grateful for my experience and time in the Defence Force, I knew, it was for me. Didn't really like the hierarchy structure. So, I wanted to leave the Air Force and go learn about running and growing businesses. Yes.
So then so the book lands on your desk and you think, there's a different way for me. I want to embark on a career change. When did the idea to start your own accelerator come to you? Like, when did you realize, actually, it's not just me that has this entrepreneurial spirit, there's a whole bunch of my community that are like that and I can do something about it?
Yeah, it didn't come to me until maybe 2 years or so after leaving the Defence Force. So I was doing a bunch of random jobs after I left, again, just to pay the bills, like working in retail, hospitality, and even at university. And during that time, and just learning about businesses, just trying to connect with people, learn as much as I can from mentors and stuff. I found out about opportunities for Indigenous people to potentially get support, and I never heard of that before. Never had much to do with the government, to be honest. Growing up in rural town, and then so just thought it was interesting. When I found out more, I found it a bit frustrating. Me personally, like they receive a lot of money, and I didn't find them to be too helpful. And so I was a bit frustrated, and I was just like, whatever, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing, and not worry about these guys. And I got invited to Australia's Health Startup Weekend, which is run by iLab at the University of Queensland, and went to that. It was pretty cool. Like, never been to a startup weekend before, and had a great experience. And there were a few other Indigenous participants, and at the end of it, I said it was a good idea to hold the first Indigenous startup weekend, to promote Indigenous entrepreneurship and also, get everybody together and hopefully build some cool stuff.
And that was how long ago now?
That was mid 2016.
Yeah.
So, time flies.
So how has your accelerator program evolved from that initial kind of, let's all get together and start something to what it is today?
Yeah, so after going to that startup weekend, a couple months later, with no experience, put together the world's first Indigenous startup weekend, and it's just a really good vibe. And from the Indigenous people that went there, and talking to others, I knew there needed to be more, because there was a lot of money floating around. But from my experience, it was very hard to get support. I'm not too sure what they were doing with the money. And I knew there needed to be more. So I reached out to all the accelerator programs, or a lot of them, around Australia, and one of them got back to me, Slingshot. They saw the value in helping me, and ended up running the world's first Indigenous accelerator program ended 2016, a couple months after the startup weekend, with $0.
Wow.
And then a couple months later, Clayton Utz, a law firm, helped me incorporate Barayamal and get charity status. So I guess from that early stages of doing everything with $0, it was quite, challenging. You have to be very resourceful. So I was lucky enough to get some really good support early on. And then from there, just been building up the programs and attraction and track record, basically $0, while competing against organizations that are kind of bankrolled by taxpayer money. So it's challenging, but at the end of last year, we put in an application for a launch week to run the first Indigenous accelerator program in Victoria, and the charity Barayamal, which I helped run, was able to secure that, against the big competition we were facing. So we were very humbled that we were chosen and had the trust to launch it, do it and show people how it's done.
I reckon you have. You're already helping loads of Indigenous entrepreneurs get their first step into that startup ecosystem. What do you say to people? Because there's a lot of kind of detractors of the Indigenous community that I think the Indigenous community equates with innovation, but kind of, in my opinion, the Indigenous community has been innovating for thousands of years. They wouldn't have survived all this time without being able to be agile and adapt, So what do you say to those kind of naysayers, and how do we get more recognition for the great amount of talent that is out there?
Yeah, I guess to put it into context, I guess a few good takeaways from the Defence Force were things like, propaganda. So, it never really occurred to me until I left the Air Force, and, it's up to realize, there is, a bit of propaganda out there towards Indigenous people, which is why there's, I guess, a lot of negative stereotypes. But in saying that, there's a lot of Indigenous people that, weren't paid wages and that kind of stuff. So the kids have, and obviously had the land taken away. So they had no assets. They weren't getting paid. They had no money. So, there's like, forced into poverty. And only got recognised to vote, 30, 35, 40 years ago. So in the Constitution, Australian Constitution. So, from there to, trying to build wealth, even though there's no intergenerational wealth, get loans to the bank. Most people live in paycheck to paycheck and, trying to break that poverty cycle. Obviously there's going to be massive challenges throughout the system, but, keeping that in mind, that context, I think, a lot of the young ones now have the opportunity to actually go to school, take the job opportunities and that kind of stuff so they can build wealth. So I think moving forward, there's a lot more opportunities for the young Indigenous youth coming up to, show the world that they can also build successful businesses too. And, Indigenous people were innovative. But, it's hard to, when everything gets taken away and you're left in poverty to, break those stereotypes overnight.
So, what do you say when someone first approaches you and they go, hey, Dean, I've got this great idea. What's the first bit of advice that you give them?
I try to be a bit of a devil's advocate. I guess most people have got ideas, but it's just getting that early validation around the idea, the viability around the business model. But I just tell them to just if it's ideation stage, just go out there, talk to potential customers, the community, and get a bit more validation around that idea to see if it's worth pursuing.
Are you finding there's a particular type of entrepreneur that approaches you to be part of the accelerator program? Are there lots of people in social enterprise or wanting to do something for the environment, or is it more kind of specific to products? Or is there just no real kind of, no general sort of mandate at all? They're coming from all walks of life and all areas of entrepreneurship?
Yeah, pretty much the latter. Yeah. So very diverse range of ideas and backgrounds. Like I'm sure there's a lot of strengths, like, Indigenous people are getting, some of them getting their land back now, and they're converting a lot of the assets into like agriculture, which has obviously been a strong point for them, art, and that kind of stuff. But we had our interviews for the Victoria's Indigenous Accelerator a couple of days ago, and we just had a wide range. Like we had one guy who's building dental app for your phone to recognize and diagnose your teeth using AI. Another guy's trying to, connect pet owners with veterinarians and provide support, for another app. So, quite a range. Like, obviously, I think First Nations people are very, most of them are very community oriented. So they do, even though they might have commercial businesses, they still have that social outlook in their business model. And the perfect example is that I always refer to, even though there's heaps of examples here, is over in America, like in Canada, when the natives fur coats, the pelts were taking off, and a lot of those Native American communities, made money, and but you never heard of a Native American individual who became a multimillionaire. Like most of that money was put back in the community to buy weapons and food and that kind of stuff. And I can relate that with the Indigenous entrepreneurs. Actually, even though a lot of them that we saw a couple of days ago were commercial, they still had that social outlook and giving back to their community.
Yeah. Do you think any kind of great startup does have some element of purpose and wanting to do some kind of social good?
Yeah, I think so. I think, in the past it wasn't like that. Like venture capital was very hardcore, right?
Yeah.
So, but now people are starting to realise that it's not sustainable. So I think more people are thinking like Indigenous people about sustainability. So yeah, I think like all businesses should definitely be like that.
Yeah. What about for you? Like you said initially, that book landed on your desk and you were like, oh, entrepreneurship. Have you got a business in you? Is there some kind of idea percolating away that one day we might see you, apart from obviously a fantastic accelerator program? Is there some idea that's close to your heart that might come to fruition one day?
Yeah, definitely. Like, so when I set out, I wasn't expecting to do anything in the community. I just wanted to learn how to run and grow businesses.
And now you've got all this expertise. Why not put it to some use for yourself as well?
Yeah, definitely. With the whole Barayamal and accelerator and the stuff I've done over the last couple of years, just came out of frustration dealing with the government, to be honest. I saw a lot of money, didn't know what was going. It wasn't going into communities or helping those with the straightened out. So I ended up just doing it out of frustration. When something had to be done. And but yeah, from there, we've got a few things in the pipeline. So hopefully we can
watch this space.
Watch this space. Yeah, it's not all about. Definitely, loving what I'm doing at Barayamal, helping the charity, build it to what it is, and ensure the other ones, competitors how it's done. But we've got a few projects in line, so keep an eye out.
So let's go back to what you just said a minute ago about the disparity. There was all this money getting poured into the ecosystem, and yet the Indigenous entrepreneurs weren't really seeming to benefit from it. What do you think needs to be done to kind of redress that and make Indigenous entrepreneurship more of a focus and make sure the money gets to where it needs to go?
Yeah, like it's definitely not it's not a silver bullet solution. It's very complex, and different things need to happen for it, to make it actually happen. But I think policies can have a major impact. I think, in my opinion, there's been a lot of tokenism policies that haven't really delivered any results in the Indigenous community or the wider Australian community. They talk about billions of dollars being spent. When you go in the community, it's like you don't know where that money's going. There's no accountability. We had a survey. We've got like a little members group at Barayamal, and over 900 members now, and we had 50 Indigenous entrepreneurs do a survey, and a lot of the feedback that we got was just basically around access to capital, and despite all this money supposedly going in, Indigenous entrepreneurs are starving. They can't get access to capital. They can't go to a bank. They haven't got a house or assets to get a loan, and then they can't access any of this money that supposedly the government has. So it's just access to capital. Obviously, education support's up there too. And then there's a bit of criticism, the feedback we got from existing government policies. For example, hopefully I don't get in too much trouble, but like the Indigenous procurement policy, it's nothing new. So suppose the government likes to promote it, we've given $1 billion, $2 billion to Indigenous businesses, but previously it came out of, had a lot of criticism because, some of these quote unquote Indigenous businesses that are winning the big contracts, are actually not really Indigenous businesses. You know, they just have a black face, but behind it's a non-Indigenous business. It's called blackleading.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is nothing new. I think I can't remember which news reporter did a story on it, but yeah, there's a few stories on it. And basically, you know, the non-Indigenous companies use the benefits, grabs, Indigenous person, and you know, they go into business, but most of that money goes to a non-Indigenous partner. So.
Yeah, it's like diversity and inclusion programs. There's a lot of lip service, but not a real amount of movement, I think, in terms of real diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, massively. And I don't see the point of it. Like, I think policies can have a massive positive impact. Tokens and policies, they don't do anything for anybody. Like, if you're going to have that, then just have it for all Australians. Don't have a social procurement policy that benefits a few non-Indigenous businesses that can partner with a blackface. Like, you know, that should be, everybody should be entitled to go through the contracts. Like, if it's going to be social procurement policy, then it has to be an Indigenous business, a real Indigenous business, and then they have to be accountable. They have to deliver outcomes, because the whole point of the Indigenous procurement policy was to increase, you know, Indigenous employment and help close the gap. So if it's not doing that, then just shut it down. Like, there needs to be more accountability with all these tokens and policies.
Yeah. So what is the biggest kind of gap that you're seeing within the communities? Is it health related? Is it skills gaps? What's the best area that we should be trying to throw some money at to actually really solve the problem, or, you know, upskill people or whatever? What's your opinion?
Yeah, again, like, I don't think there's silver bullet.
There's no band-aid solution.
Well, I think there's a lot of band-aid solutions at the moment, instead of getting to the root of the problem. And for me personally, growing up within the Aboriginal community in Gundah, and also working with other communities, like we're doing a bit of work with the Wurundjeri mob down in Melbourne, who are the traditional owners here. And, you know, a lot of it I see is access, you know, to capital. Like, the poverty within, you know, Indigenous communities I work with and from, you know, it's really, obviously poverty affects health, mental illness and all that kind of stuff. So I think, you know, if we can break that poverty cycle and have, you know, better access to capital to, you know, achieve our self-determination aspirations, I think, you know, that'll benefit all Australians. Like, all this money is going into these band-aid policies, these tokens and policies, but they ain't doing anything. Let's get to the root of the problem. The problem is, for me, poverty. Like, you know, they've been stripped of their land, stripped of wages. There's no intergenerational wealth. Let's build the wealth with the Indigenous communities, and that'll benefit everybody, because Indigenous businesses employ a lot of non-Indigenous businesses too, and Indigenous entrepreneurs are very, you know, community orientated, and that's where I think, you know, businesses in the future need to be, because, you know, hardcore capitalism, even though it has its debate, it's not really sustainable for the future.
You're absolutely right, Dean. I mean, I think community first is a credo we should all probably adopt. Anyway, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. So thanks again for chatting, Dean. And that's it, the first act. Don't forget, if you're looking for small business inspiration and advice, head to koshysbusinessbuilders.com.au.